Watch how an octopus appendage twists and curls through the water. It can fold in on itself, stretch out, and ripple without locking. Human movement is restricted by joints. Our elbows and wrists act as hinges, strictly limiting the directions our limbs can travel. Engineers call these independent planes of movement degrees of freedom. An octopus arm lacks bones. It is a muscular hydrostat, a dense cylinder of muscle fibers that can compress, twist, or stiffen at literally any point along its entire axis. Because there are no fixed joints to restrict its motion, the appendage operates with nearly infinite degrees of freedom. Controlling that many potential movement paths creates a massive mathematical problem for the animal's nervous system. Vertebrates like humans wire a physical map of the body directly into the brain, called a homunculus. But trying to calculate infinite bending angles for 8 flexible arms would require impossible processing power, crashing a centralized neural system. The octopus evolved an entirely different architecture. Its central brain lacks a somatotopic map. It does not know the exact physical coordinates or postures of its own limbs. The physical wiring reflects this separation. Out of the 500 million neurons in an octopus, 2/3 are located in the arms. Only about 40,000 nerve fibers serve as the bridge connecting this massive peripheral network back to the central brain. A central brain with no body map and a limited physical connection to its limbs should be paralyzed. Yet the octopus is one of the most dexterous hunters in the ocean. The animal bypasses this processing bottleneck by relying on embodied cognition. Instead of computing every joint angle in the brain, the octopus delegates the math to the physical mechanics of the arm itself. For a strike, the brain issues a high-level reach command. The arm's tissue translates this into a rolling wave of muscle activation. Because this wave naturally propels the arm, the brain only sets simple variables: direction, force, and timing. The physical structure of the limb handles the rest. By letting the arm's biology dictate the trajectory, the brain avoids the computational bottleneck entirely. To deliver these broad instructions, the central brain uses a massive nerve highway running along the edge of each arm, called the cerebrobrachial tract. Human motor control relies on labeled lines, where a signal travels from a specific neuron in the brain straight down to a specific target muscle. The octopus relies on a process called en passant, or in-passing, innervation. A single high-level signal speeds down the main highway, dropping off simultaneous activation pulses to thousands of local motor neurons all at once as it travels past them. The brain acts as a commanding general, issuing a broad strategic order to advance, leaving the local troops to figure out exactly how to move their feet. Those local troops are highly organized. Running down the center of each arm is the axial nerve cord, a dense, segmented column of neurons that acts as a local processing center. These nerve segments are arranged in a precise topographical map called a suckeroptopy. Every sucker on the arm has a dedicated local control center, a ganglion, wired directly to it, processing touch and taste on the spot. The arms don't even need the brain to talk to each other. An anatomical loop called the interbrachial nerve ring connects the base of all 8 arms together. If one arm senses a crab, it can broadcast that data to its neighbors to coordinate a multi-arm grasp, completely bypassing the central brain. These local circuits keep the appendages on autopilot, allowing them to explore and taste the environment independently, while the central brain plans the animal's next move. With each arm processing its own sensory data and managing its own complex movements, it raises a question: do octopuses actually possess 9 separate minds? To test this, researchers designed a blind maze experiment. They trained an octopus to reach a single arm through an opaque tube and navigate a Y-shaped junction to find a reward. The animal couldn't see the maze, forcing it to rely entirely on the arm's peripheral sense of touch. Once the octopus mastered the route, the researchers forced the animal to use a completely different, untrained limb. The octopus solved the maze perfectly on its very first try. This diagram illustrates how information flows. Notice the arms box. Sensory feedback from the maze travels up into the central nervous system. At the top brain box, learning is centralized, synthesizing tactile memory and sending navigation commands back down to the reaching limb. This proves the 9 brains concept is a myth. The learning and decision-making happen in one central mind, which then downloads the execution program to its smart peripherals. Humanity's centralized architecture is a successful evolutionary path, but the octopus reveals another one entirely. Vertebrates evolved with a top-heavy brain, but intelligence doesn't have to be centralized to be complex. Coordinating a body with infinite degrees of freedom does not require a single bloated central processor micromanaging every detail. Instead, the octopus operates as an integrated system, a central mind that coordinates the big picture by working through hundreds of millions of neurons embedded directly into its arms.